What would you do if you needed more money for your newborn son? But the only job available was the one you absolutely hated. Well, my guest today, Phillip Craig, worked overnight shifts that wrecked his body. So he saved every dollar he could and bought $5,000 worth of marching drums. That was the birth of Drum Nation School. Drum Nation School now is employed by 10 schools in the Tuscaloosa City School District with students earning college scholarships because of what he built. So today we're talking about execution when you're exhausted. We're gonna talk about when you're learning on the job, or when your definition of success isn't about money, it's about the students you send to college. This is the Execution Lab. I'm DeAndre. Let's work.
Welcome to the Execution Lab. This ain't talk, this ain't theory. We don't wait till the path get clear. If you got a dream and you serious, clock in. Yeah, we get
So Phillip, welcome to the Execution Lab, man. Tell the people about yourself.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is, I think, the first interview I've ever done
Wow.
about Drum Nation, believe it or not. Yeah, man, I'm just grateful to be here. Of course, I've been doing Drum Nation for the last, I think it's 14 years now that it's been, or going on 14 years
Yeah.
as well, man. So just grateful. God has been good. I kind of transitioned, of course, from drum set player to now just mostly mainly teaching, but completely grateful. So I'm an
Awesome.
open book, whatever you want to know.
Good. You open book and I like to read. Well, Phil, let's jump right into it, man. So you run, own, and operate Drum Nation School.
Mhm.
For people that don't know, break down what makes this more than just a drum lesson. What's the actual mission?
Okay, so when it started, I think it was more so started off based off of a need on my end, because of course we talked about the income in the intro, but the other part of it was to still continue to train students in the area of academic percussion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I actually started with drum set before I started with the drumline part, but that wasn't really Drum Nation, right? That was
Yeah.
more so me just giving personal lessons. But when it comes to the business now and the way it's run, and I call it a business, but the truth is it's more like a family,
Yeah.
right? Like these kids come in, I think I've learned over time, it's not just the academic side, although that was the need. The other part of it is the learning, the discipline, the work ethic that's behind it, what's needed. Like nothing in life that's worth earning is easy. And a lot of students, you can tell they learn over the course of the process that nothing's going to be given to you. Like you're going to have to outwork, you're going to have to be the hardest worker, you're going to have to be committed to whatever it is you're striving in those goals. So there's been so many different aspects, and just seeing these kids thrive, right, and
Yeah.
succeed, and you build these relationships with them, that is always amazing. And then see them go off to college has been probably the biggest thing for me, and even succeed on that level. So yeah, and it's been amazing. That family like atmosphere, me and the parents are really tight knit. All of those are things
Nice.
that I truly appreciate.
Nice. What take us back a little bit to when your son was born. You said that you needed to make more money. Now, what was going through your head in those first few weeks as a new dad?
Ooh, that's a story. I don't know how long this podcast is about to be.
Yeah, you open book.
Right. So basically what happened, of course, the day that my son was born, I think I was just playing drums, right?
Yeah.
Didn't have a job at the time. I was about 24, 25 years old, and still in school. I went to a TA truck stop, right? I was putting in applications different places, went to TA truck stop. They said they'll hire me on the spot, right? So took that job, not knowing that it was going to be overnight shift.
Yeah.
Now, I need you to think about this, because you have a newborn child who has no sleep schedule,
Yeah.
but you also have an overnight job. So what was happening was, the gist of it was I was working, I think, Monday through like Friday from 11 p.m. until 8, 9 a.m. But then I would wake up, and then I would have my child those that in the morning time up until probably about maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then I would actually go teach drum set lessons after that, and that would be to about 5 or 6 or somewhere around there, or 7. So I would go home after that, and it's like, okay, well, maybe you can try to get some sleep, because when you got that newborn, ain't no sleep, right? If
Nope.
you can't sleep unless he sleeps, and
Right.
my son wasn't sleeping too much. Shout out to Micah too, love the kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turned into a situation where, and my body never adjusted. So of course, I'm used to sleeping at night, wake up in the day. Even to this day, I can't sleep in the daytime. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what's going on or any of that. So I remember one day because I was going through this schedule. I was getting maybe an hour, maybe be an hour of sleep, 2 hours of sleep a day, right? Everything was always anxious about, I got to get up and go to
Mm-hmm.
work. So
Mm-hmm.
never just got comfortable with it. And one day I fell asleep on the couch. And I would never forget, I did not, I think I fell asleep I got off work on that Friday and I fell asleep around 7 p.m. I
Mm-hmm.
think by the time my day
Mm-hmm.
was over, I didn't wake up till 10 a.m. the next morning.
Wow.
And that was the day I was like, you know what, this
That's
isn't,
it.
this
Yeah.
isn't going to work. So from there, you just kind of transition to, there was a prophet actually that came to my grandmother's church. And this is why I always give God the credit for everything that he's done
Yeah.
with Drum Nation. And he prophesied to me. He called me up, he prophesied, and he said, God said for you to write your vision and make it plain.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I want you to write out 10 things you want God to do for you. During the time, I always wanted, Drum Nation to be bigger. But I was focusing on drum set lessons.
Yeah.
And I went out, I remember looking on Amazon.com, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
That was needed, but there was a better route I could have went. And
Yeah.
I had saved a lot of those checks though. At the time I was living with my grandmother. So saved a lot of that money. And I think I ordered like $5,000 worth of marching drums. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, what if I started a drum line, a youth drum line, something never been done here in Tuscaloosa as well. And I didn't really know anyone else who was doing it at the time, period. And man, we had 1 week of rehearsal, ordered those drums, they came in, and from there it's just taken off. So
Wow. Wow.
been pretty amazing since then. We had our first concert, I think it was at Cornerstone in the
Yeah.
multipurpose room. Yeah, man. Things have just taken off since then.
Well, talk about something real quick. You mentioned that, you said I had the thought to, what about a drum line? What about drums?
Mhm.
And just kind of hone in on that a little bit. So you grew up playing drums in church and in
Yeah.
school bands and all that. So was there a moment when you realized that your background could actually become a business?
Well, okay, so I think there was a shift. I was a drum set player and drum
Mm-hmm.
set player by heart,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I love. Of course, came up in the school system, played drums, marching band as well. And when I ended up and this is why again I say God had everything to do with it. I was supposed to go to Tuskegee University on a percussion scholarship, and I chose not to go. I ended up going to University of Alabama because my girlfriend was there, who turned out
Yeah.
to be my wife. So
Good move. Good move.
and that's what she was. And I was like, this one, I didn't want to leave home. So I was like,
Yeah.
um, and when that happened, I ended up going there on a jazz scholarship, jazz band. So I was still playing drum set. Everything was geared toward drum set
Mm-hmm.
during that time. Played in the church, of course, played at Cornerstone for the last 20 years, grew up in my grandmother's church playing. But that marching, the academic side and that marching band side of it, it just never left.
Yeah.
And when you do that, when I was teaching drum set lessons, I can only teach one kid at a time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When I shifted over to, let's learn the academics of it. Let's train these kids to get percussion scholarships. Because the one thing about percussion that people don't understand, I guess the bar is always evolving.
Mhm.
So what I knew then is not what was needed for now, right?
Yeah.
If I only went out for what I knew when I started this business, I couldn't get a kid a scholarship. But I've become a student, a constant student in this. And the truth is it's a motivator, right? It's always there's always a goal to reach, right? I enjoy getting better. It's something that, keeps me. I don't mind being tired in this business because I'm tired doing something I love to do.
That's nice.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So, and that's always a blessing. So, but yeah, once we shifted, it was like, okay, let's get these drums, let's get these kids in. I think we brought in 20 kids that day, right? The first day of drumline, and the kids had something to look forward to. So it was like, okay, now we have performances. Now we were doing Holy Spirit football games, right? We
Yeah.
were doing small performances here and there, and the kids, they had something that they were working towards. So I think it motivated them, and it was a way to catalyst to keep kids in, because you're always striving for a goal to reach, or you're always working towards something as well. So once that that part was implemented, and just shifting more toward the academic side, let's really teach these kids how to read. Let's teach them all the skills that's needed and techniques the right way as well. So yeah, and once that part hit, that's where I've seen probably the most growth when it comes to from a business aspect as well.
Every week, I sit down with entrepreneurs who are doing the work. These are people who are building businesses while working full-time jobs. These are people who failed, learned, and kept going. And I need your help to keep bringing you these conversations. You see, when you subscribe, you're not just getting notified about new episodes, you're telling the algorithm that this content matters. You're helping more people find it. You're keeping the execution lab alive. It's free. It takes about 2 seconds, but it makes a real difference for a podcast like this, one that's built from the ground up. So if this podcast has helped you, encourage you, or give you something to think about, hit that subscribe button. Help me keep bringing you the content. So let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, and you really are sharing a system with us, even though you mentioned, in your question that, you really didn't have a business mindset to start with.
No, not at
So
all.
you were lacking the logistics and all that. So looking back now, if you were to start again, what are some things that you possibly would have done differently when you started?
Okay, well, the business mindset that you said, that was number one. If you're talking about, like, I guess there's two models. On my end, of course, I do measure my success by more so the impact we have in the community and the success with the kids. But you got to feed your family.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so,
yeah,
and if I was doing this and I'm going all in, we went through some really rough times, and a lot of that was on me. I didn't have a mentor or someone to talk to about, okay, if you have a business model, this is what you do.
yeah.
Once I realized, I think, the value of the program,
Mhm.
that was when you saw like subtle differences, like maybe the price changed, because a lot of times your price attracts certain clientele. Now I wanted to, and we still do, like, now I can give scholarships and bring kids in who, may not be able to afford and things like that. But at some point in time, you do have to, realize that, hey, you have a valuable program,
That's right.
and, your price has to reflect that to a certain degree. So when I first started, I think it was like, man, it might have been like $25 a month or something, or somewhere around there. It definitely wasn't enough to live off of. I was still playing drums, I was gigging, I was doing things like that as well. And that was actually my main income. Drum Nation wasn't at all. So, but as time kept going, and you see the results, you see the kids going to college, you see the kids loving the program. And then once we got into shifted to the schools, that was the other thing, that was huge, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was one of those things where now, instead of just the kids coming to us, we were going to them, and we were able to reach, I can teach, 500 to 1,000 kids in a year right now
Yeah.
that have, experienced Drum Nation in some way, shape, or form. So, but once you're doing that, even I had a teacher actually came up to me, and she told me, she was like, Philip, she was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. She was like, I was looking at your price that you charge, and I was like, oh man, am I charging too much? That's what I was thinking. She was like, no, you charge it too little. you know,
Go.
when it comes to that. So, but yeah, she was a huge help. Just, that comment, she was like, you really got to value yourself. And, that's something I think I've learned over time, to value the product that you produce as well. Now, we're not out here trying to bust heads or nothing like that, but at some point in time, you have to I guess just understand and value your worth wherever you go.
Yeah, yeah, you do, and I'm glad you're saying that, because that is um a kind of a mental block that a lot of, especially new entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
face. Is that this is my passion. I've been doing this for free for so long. I don't
Mhm.
really want to charge for it, and if I do charge for it, I don't want to offend somebody by charging too much. But
Yeah.
I also got to eat. Also
Yeah.
got bills, so that's a tenuous type situation
Sure.
there. But I just want to kind of stress the part you said. You did a lot of learning.
Yeah.
You did a lot of studying. And so all that learning and all that studying and all that practicing,
Mhm.
you know, they got to pay for that.
True. It's just like any other job. I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's just like any other job. You stay on the job so long, you work your way up, you get promoted. The more you learn, the more you know,
that's
the
right.
more you value, more so than anything else. I am a constant student. Like, I have this thing where I don't want, or at least I never want to feel like I'm lacking in the area, especially the
Yeah,
academic side of it, right? So I will spend, and it takes some real discipline, especially at my age, I'm going to spend 2-3 hours a day
yeah,
learning something new, and not even just learning it, but learning how to teach it. That's the hardest part. Like, as being a teacher, the teaching part is the part I love the most, but learning how these students learn, that,
yeah,
not all students are learning the same. So there's a patience aspect, but there's also the aspect of, I need to learn how to convey what I'm learning, because they may not learn it or
yeah.
take it in the way that I did. My brain may work a little bit different than theirs. So I think that's been one of the biggest things, like, is learning how to not just learn new skills and new areas of percussion, but learn how to teach that and convey that to the students in a way that they can, consume it and take it in, and own that as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's been huge.
that's good, man. And I have a personal mantra that if you're going to do anything, you need to get neck deep in it.
There
And
you
so,
go.
yeah, get neck deep. I'm gonna get neck deep or don't get in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I tell businesses that I work with, I should be able to come to your house and see books on your shelf about your business, about your
Mm.
industry. Then I back up. So wait a minute. First of all, I need to be able to come to your house and see a bookshelf.
That too.
First of all, I need a bookshelf. And second of all, on that bookshelf, I need to see something about your industry, some books about your industry.
Hmm.
And so you should be the expert in that field.
Agreed.
And so now I really do appreciate that about you. Like you just don't know a little bit about your industry. You know a lot about it. And so for entrepreneurs out there that are listening, or even aspiring entrepreneurs that are listening who are possibly undercharging right now,
Mhm.
what would you tell them? Like, how did you finally give yourself permission to charge what you're worth?
I think it was for me, it was more so a revelation of what other people valued as. Sometimes we devalue ourselves to the point like where you were talking about. You were saying that, well, I feel like I've been doing this for free for so long. And one thing I will say, when you're dealing especially with clients, people will try to get over on you. You will
Yeah,
hear every sob story, you will hear all those things. And so for me, I think once I was kind of dealing with that and navigating through that, it was one of those things where I was like, well, maybe I'm just, I'm charging too much. If I'm still getting sob story here, or I'm getting this, or I can't pay this. Another thing was how I was collecting my money. Like it wasn't brand. Like I said, the business side,
yeah,
you can throw that out the window.
yeah.
At
Cash
first.
money.
Yeah, like it was it was cash money. It was cash money checks. Like that's how it was. We talking over 10 years ago,
Yeah,
as well. But you know, and then the other part of it, I'll say this, and it'll tie back in. You have to invest into your business, right? I invest thousands of dollars every year, whether it's through learning tools, materials for the kids, fixing drums. Like the teaching side, we talked about how easy that was. But the investment, once you start investing all that money, you realize, okay, if I've invested this much, my price needs to reflect that
that's right.
because no one else is doing number one, no one else was doing what I was doing at the time. But then, number two, I'm investing so I can be a better teacher to
Yeah,
these kids, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, you have to value what you do because the truth is there are people out here who truly do value the program. Like they
yeah,
are grateful for it. I stay in contact with students and parents all the time. They'll tell you how amazing it was for them, especially once these kids go off to college. And once I start seeing the results, I think that's one of those things where it's like, you know what? They are valuing it. I can't let somebody value me or value
right.
my product more than I do. So
That's right.
if you're an entrepreneur out there, listen, and you're good at what you do, invest in yourself, right? But your price always needs to reflect that. I just had that conversation with another friend of mine who just started his business. I won't
Yeah,
put that out there as well, but we were talking about price, and I was like, hey. He was talking about charging this much, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest, man. You are a valuable asset and commodity
yeah,
in what you're trying to do. And if that's the case, then I was like, how much, what are you trying to make? What makes it worth it to you?
yeah.
And if this makes it worth it and this price makes it worth it, the work that's involved, then, that's what you should charge. So I think he listened to me. That's what he told
That's
me.
good. So you get your business up and running,
Hmm.
and your processes, or you tighten up your processes, you tighten up the logistics and all that. And then COVID hits,
Mm.
and you
Oof,
couldn't
rough
teach in
times.
person. And so you shifted to virtual classes, not knowing how long it would last or how many students you'd keep. So walk us through that uncertainty.
Okay, so that was the one other time I've had another job. I'll say that
Yeah,
outside of Drum Nation, I was working for a group home during the time when COVID hit. Number one, of course, you can't meet, right? So we can't meet and do classes that way. The other side of it was, what about student retention? Like how many students are going to be okay with basically doing classes like we're doing
yeah,
right now, virtually?
yeah.
More so than anything else. The program was built off that family atmosphere, right?
Hmm,
So you get
hmm.
those students in one place, they feed off of each other, and the atmosphere, or the culture was already set by that time. We had kind of laid the foundation for not just a a winning culture for them and a culture of discipline. Well, the other side, once COVID hits, it's like, okay, we're just meeting like we're meeting right now.
Yeah.
And I had to I think everybody learned how to use Zoom during
Right.
that time. Zoom
On conference,
Zoom
yeah,
made
some
it
type of
chilling. Yeah.
virtual platform.
Exactly. Or some type of virtual platform. So we started doing classes through Zoom. And then, but the thing is the kids didn't leave.
Yeah.
And that was the part that I think that really stuck with me. We didn't lose a lot of kids during COVID. COVID was a
Yeah.
long period. We were only doing classes once or twice a week. I think I was meeting with the kids, same class times. I'm trying. The only part I didn't like as much as I couldn't. At times I couldn't see the details,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm like sorely detail oriented when it comes to that, especially when it comes to percussion. And so that was probably the one drawback during that time. But we still found a way to learn. We still found a way to push through. And then, once COVID had kind of died down a little bit, we started having classes again and drumline rehearsal with mask on, of course.
Yep.
So I still got videos. I was looking at videos of that recently. Yeah, man. And we were in there without mask on. And yeah, and I think, I'm grateful that I was still able to, maintain some sense of and keep the program up and running during that time. But I was definitely worried.
Awesome, awesome. Let's talk about family. You started Drum Nation because of your son,
Hmm.
Michael. Now you have another child that's kind of getting there for that. That's another reason.
Yeah,
Uh,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah, that's another why. And so you mentioned that, a lot of times early on, your son wouldn't see you that much. You have to get off, and,
Hmm.
with sleep patterns and all that. But you also mentioned in your question that your wife is helping on the business and the financial side. So
Definitely.
how critical is that to have a partnership, to have someone that can kind of go alongside you to help you during this time?
I read something somewhere, even if we're not just talking about the business, but they said having a supportive partner adds 10 years to your life.
Wow.
So, and I truly believe that.
Yeah.
My wife she works in finance,
Yeah.
right? So
Perfect.
everything that she does for my business, she also does for millionaires and people out there who have been running business for years. On my end, of course, I wasn't a business major, majored in healthcare management, right? But she has set up so many systems of checks and balances on that side of it. She's just super supportive. Like I really can't brag on her enough. She has been there like from day one. She's seen the ups and downs. And she want to make sure that we stay in the ups right now. So
Yeah.
even places where I falter. I'm a creative, right?
Yeah.
So that side of it I love. I love creating, I love teaching. That's the side of it that, that I excel in. But when it comes to the parts I've been doing all morning,
Yeah.
which is more so the logistics side of it, whether it's invoices or making sure your lesson plans are legit, some of the grants that we work with on the schools, there are, meetings you have to go to. There's certain bullet points you have to hit and certain things you have to send in ahead of time. She always stays up on that, like 100%. And the truth is, like with me, if I have to choose between, practicing or getting in front of a laptop for 2 hours and, sending emails or doing whatever else,
Mhm.
I'm going to choose to go. I want to go practice.
That's
I
right.
want to go
Yeah.
work. So that does open up and free up some space for me, knowing that I don't have to work about that side. She sends me invoices though, as well. Like she's gonna be like, and I'm talking about they are exuberant. She was like, "Yeah, you owe me about 2.5 million for all this work." Just so, but and look, exactly. So, but she has been amazing on that end. And then, like the trade-off that we were talking about with my youngest. My youngest son, I see him in the morning, we get him dressed
Yeah.
for daycare and do all that. But my schedule is a little bit hectic. Of course, I live in Birmingham and then I work in Tuscaloosa.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times my nights, they don't end until, 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like
Yeah.
that. And then I'm driving back. Well, of course, he's asleep by
Right.
most nights. So I think that has kind of been the trade-off. I'm big on valuing time. So you have to value your time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to even when you were talking about your price, I definitely probably should have brought that up when you are negotiating. You have to time is the most valuable thing you have right now.
Absolutely.
So you have to value that. So that's one of those things where, staying disciplined, doing what you need to do on the front end, as well. But when I'm off, I'm off. My parents will tell you I'm a hard person to reach if I'm not
Yeah,
looking
that's
for those messages, or I'm not checking my emails or whatever else. When it's time to work, I work. But on the other end, I have to make sure I make time for him, because
yeah.
if I don't, we'll barely see each other through the
Yeah, well,
past.
that's so important. I'm glad you said that because, there's a saying that I don't agree with. They say that
Mhm.
time is money. I don't agree
Mm,
with that. I think time is way more valuable than money.
way more
Like,
valuable. Yeah.
if I ask you right now, say, "Hey, I'm gonna give you $1,000,000," you say yes.
Mhm.
But if I say, "Okay, yeah, but you're gonna die tomorrow,"
Exactly. Ex-
I want you gonna say, "Give me the money." No, you say, "Keep that," because my time is way more valuable than money. So that is extremely important. So glad you brought that point out.
Definitely.
Couple more questions there. You mentioned that you define success by seeing those students go to college and
Mhm.
getting all those scholarships and different things like that. But you also mentioned that creating moments of confidence for
Mm,
students is invaluable. Can
true.
you share like a specific moment where you saw students' confidence just
Mhm.
change because of Drum Nation?
I can share my own moments, and then I can share theirs too.
Sure.
There's a lot to pick from, but for myself, I really truly do believe a lot of who the person or the individual I end up being came through being a part of the arts, like being a part of
Yeah.
band, marching band, being a musician, right? There was a level of confidence that I didn't have until I think I got to high school.
Hmm.
And then once we got into, marching band and all of that, it was kind of like you were learning who you were. It's you go through so many, like marching band, especially back at Central. Shout out to the great OD Watts. Back then, he was our band director. But marching band at Central was an experience. So this is when there was no Bryant, no Northridge. There's
Hmm.
250, 300 people in our band during that time. And being in the percussion section, was not for the weak during that time.
I
So
heard it.
yeah, yeah. Look, listen, I can tell you some stories. But learning who you were, and then the respect that was garnered, that can be garnered through your talent. Now, when it comes to the students, on their end, I've had students and our parents that'll give you testimonials with a lot of kids who completely come out of their shell, right? And
Hmm.
I'm blessed because we're able to create those moments of validation for them, not just through the program, but validation from others. We do competitions all over, right? Just this year alone, I think we're 2 for 2. We've done 2 competitions. Well, one in December,
Yeah.
and then we just had one last week, and they won first place in both of those, right? So we go out, we compete. We're the youngest line. They compete against high schools.
Yeah.
We have kids as young as like second and third grade that's in there, and the fact that they are able to hold their own and win those competitions is huge for those kids, because, and I always record that moment for them
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
it's something they can always go back to, for them. So you see their confidence change. I've watched this group in particular that we have this year. They're so amazing. Those kids are. I don't know if I've had, to be honest, a better group than the
Wow.
kids I have now, because and it's not about talent per se. It's just about their mindset. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
mindset is we want to be the best, right?
Yeah.
And then you see how they thrive in the program, and then a lot of them are leaders in their high schools,
Yeah.
respective high schools, in those bands. So I think there's so many, but I've had so many text messages and parents, from parents who are grateful, and I'm grateful because initially I didn't see that. That wasn't the part I was focused on as
Yeah.
much. But the parents, they'll let you know, like, hey, we really do appreciate what you've done for my child and bringing him out of his shell. I have one student in particular, and I don't think his parents would mind me talking about this, as well. We take in a lot of autistic kids, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And he was one of the quietest kids, and it's funny because I never noticed that he was
Yeah,
like that. He was, very much in the shell. That he was in the program for probably at least 7, 8 years or so. Right now, he's marching. He plays drums for the University of Alabama, right, on their drum line. Completely came out of shell, became a leader at his high school. And his mom will tell you to this day, she's super grateful that Drum Nation is what brought him,
yeah.
or gave him the confidence, to be who he is. And
Wow.
he's an amazing kid, amazing person. He comes back, he helps us all the time. I'm learning from him because he's learning from the percussion instructors there at the
Yeah.
University of Alabama at times. So Yeah, but there's plenty of stories that are like that. I teach all students. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? There is, I have parents who are worried. They're like, oh, well, my kid, he may be like this, or he may be shy, or maybe, have autism or something like that. That's no big deal. Like that's one of those things I thrive in because we're gonna find a way to teach them, and then you just watch them grow.
Awesome.
You watch them build that confidence. So that's pretty amazing.
Awesome. Let me say that a couple of questions for you that
Mhm.
for those who don't know, I'm a football official, high school football official as well.
Definitely, I've seen plenty of
So,
games.
so I'm out there, we're getting ready for, doing our pregame and
Mhm.
all that. And I look around and hear the band coming in. Now look around. I said, that's Phillip. I'm like, was the Northridge?
Yeah,
You know,
Northridge,
like, I was just Phillip walking in with the band with the drum line. I was, man, I'm so proud, man. I'm so proud.
yeah, I
Then I
appreciate
said to myself, so probably some of those kids that are on that drum line, probably starting in Drum Nation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Northridge is their leaders, most of their leaders were a part of, Drum Nation. But you could say that Central's, it's like that. Bryant, a lot of their percussion leaders as well. Brian, shout out to Brian. That's where I graduated from Mr. Reed, as well. But yeah, like I love it. I love to see those battles and those rivalries. The kids talk smack. Like when they're not in Drum Nation, because when they go to high schools, we're hands off, right?
Yeah,
During
yeah,
the high
yeah,
school
yeah.
football season, they go there, and I want you to take everything you've learned and use it in your high school band as well in that system there. So I love to see them trash talk and all that
Yeah.
and battle each other across the sidelines and everything. That's still an amazing feeling. But I can't do nothing but smile on either. It doesn't matter if I'm on Northridge end or not. If it's
Right.
Northridge versus Brian, I got kids on both sides.
That's
I
right.
love to
That's
see them
right.
both thrive. So it's pretty amazing.
That's right. Well, if you're watching this, you're listening, and you're not in the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham area, I'm excited because Phillip has some plans to go virtual. So talk about that a little bit. You get into my world now. Talk about those virtual online lessons possibly in the future.
Okay, well, so I have a friend who has always said he's like, man, your name's Drum Nation, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, well, I need you to concentrate on the nation side,
Just
right?
good.
Of that, and so I didn't have a website up until a couple years ago. All of those things, like again, that side, the business side, kind of eluded me to a certain degree. But once I started putting more or investing more into there, the next goal was, you know what? I know I'm not going to be doing a lot of traveling. I'll tell you that because I'm a huge
Yeah.
family man, right? But we can bring these systems and, the methods that we use to teach these kids global, on a different scale, right?
Yeah.
And that scale would be definitely through virtual lessons. I do kind of pride myself because, and I think every teacher would tell you this. You have your own unique style of teaching,
Mhm.
right? But, I've really tried my best to learn how to teach to the students. So it doesn't matter if I'm teaching a first grader or if I'm teaching a high school kid. There's certain methods that have proven effective. And so, the next step for us is to get those lessons recorded and then be able to, hopefully have people who are willing to who say, you know what, I really want to learn how to read this,
Yeah.
read music a certain way, or learn how to play these rudiments when it comes to percussion. And then, put it out there and let's see what happens next. So I think the virtual side is definitely the next step when it comes to that. I've already started putting some work in on that end too, as well. It's a process though, right? Because I don't want to release something like that halfway done
That's right.
by any means necessary. So it's a process, and I'm kind of a perfectionist. So it is definitely taking some time. We've been putting in some months when it comes to that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, once it's done, that'll be released on the website as well. And hopefully it goes from there. Like that's being done more so to help students that I can't reach.
Yeah.
I do get a lot of I've gotten offers. I've gotten everything from even college instructor offers, and things like that. But of course, I love my kids. I'm not gonna leave
Yeah.
them on that end, like my Drum Nation kids. So if that's the case, then maybe for those students, or we have people contact us all the time, but they're like, oh, we didn't know that this was just in Tuscaloosa. We thought
Mhm.
maybe it was somewhere else as well. So
Yeah, that
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 would
that's
be
the
real good.
market speaking. That's the
That
market.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There is a bigger market. Like that's the thing. Like if I'm going to do this, I want it to reach. I don't want to retire and not feel like I put everything into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
that I could have. So yeah, that would definitely be the next step. Please look out for it. Shameless plug, drumnationdrumschool.com if you want to
Hey,
register
it's
or
not
look at
shameless. It's not shameless. So for the ones in Tuscaloosa or surrounded that want to
that.
follow your journey or sign the kids up, give us that website again, and we'll definitely post it upon this video. We'll have that. So yeah, how can they find you?
So it's DrumNationDrumSchool .com, right? One word, and you can go there. You can register your child there. Once they're registered, you'll receive an email about a questionnaire. Just answer that, send that back, and then we teach classes at Cornerstone Full Gospel. So classes are taught there. If you're just registering your child, 9 times out of 10, the class is going to be on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. And then drumline rehearsal would be on Monday, 5:45 p.m. So if you are looking to, register them, or you have a student who loves drums, like, I mean, it's surprising how many people I get who just like, my baby he's always banging on something, or
Yeah.
he's always, he's got rhythm. I could tell. Send them to me, because this is the place. We will hone that rhythm, teach him all the skills that he needs to play the right way. And then in the process, he does get, like we talked about, those moments. So just because your baby's a little bit younger, he can still, march and play with the drum line. We have kids. I think the youngest kid we got on the drum line right now is maybe 6
Yeah.
or so, and he is loving it, right? He's one of my favorite students as well. So yeah, bring them on. They get a chance to perform, in front of crowds. We do all kinds of, I just sent out, matter of fact, today before I hopped on here, I was sending out the list of dates to the parents so they know. And it's somewhat extensive. So it's like, it's amazing because these kids are booked and busy. I told them at a rehearsal, I was like, listen, man, they were like, yeah, we're not doing extra rehearsals. I was like, look, y'all finna be tired
Right.
after these next couple of months. So they are booked and busy. But DrumNationDrumSchool.com is definitely the place where you can go in there, you can register them. If you need to email me directly or you have any questions, you can email me at drumnationdrumschool@gmail.com as well. And I will answer any questions that you have. I do my best to make myself readily available. So if I'm not teaching or anything like that, then I would definitely answer any questions that you may have when it comes to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just as a personal testimony, my oldest son, the 18-year-old, he was Drum Nation when he was
Yeah, I remember.
Drum Nation, he was younger. We're looking to get my youngest one involved here pretty
Definitely.
soon. And so
Yeah.
it is definitely another option, man. A lot of time parents think the football, baseball, and basketball is all their kid can do. And
Mm,
so something like this is definitely another option that can benefit them in their future moving forward. It may get in there
yes.
and find a passion, and it may
Did-
change their life. And so, Philip, I just from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate you coming
Thank
on, man. I appreciate the work you're doing in the community, the impact that you're making on these kids' lives, and the fruit is there. I see it. I see it. I see it, man. Every day I
Appreciate
see
that,
these
sir.
kids, man.
I
So
definitely, Jay, I appreciate you, man. You have been, and I know maybe a lot, or at least I haven't said this enough, man. But you're one of those guys I look up to, and you have
appreciate
always been from my days being younger, and all that, man. Your drive, your motivation, everything you do, the motivational speaking, like you've imparted so many nuggets to me just in our regular conversations throughout the years, Dre, and I truly do appreciate you, man. So I'm grateful for you having me on. Like I said, first interview, never
awesome.
never did
It
anything
won't
like
be the
that.
last. We won't
I
be the
hope I
last.
didn't do too bad.
Oh no, it won't be the last.
But I appreciate
Yeah,
you and
man.
what you're doing.
He's a
Man,
G.
appreciate you. Hey guys, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the Execution Lab.
Welcome
Until
to the
next time,
Execution
go
Lab.
get
This
it.
ain't talk, this ain't theory. We don't wait till the path get clear. If you got a dream and you serious, clock in, yeah, we execute in here. Plan it, test it, break it, rebuild, push, make that.